sponsor. Make sure to go check them out.
Gambling, high stakes, and large risks encompass a city engulfed in the nightlife as not too far away, the Las Vegas Motor Speedway looms over the mountains in the desert, ready for 30-plus drivers to aim for the jackpot tonight. Where we welcome you to coverage of the 5th race in the WORC Dynamo Designs National Series and the Voices Designs 120 live from the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway as we bring you all of the coverage right here on the KBueno Racing Network. So happy to have you along for the ride. We're alongside Charlie Byer and Keelan Belsha, my fellow colleagues in the booth. My name is Kenneth Bueno. And guys, I think we get to see our faces for the first time in KBueno since a couple of months. It's been a while, but Charlie, I think it's your return to the broadcast booth. It's Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We've covered races like this before, but not in this case, not with these cars, and not with this series. So what are your main expectations as we go into the 5th race of the campaign?
Well, exactly right. We've seen all the action at Las Vegas Motor Speedway from back in the Bunch and Lawn Care series and everywhere in between. This track is unique, and it kind of reminds me of Chicagoland, just having those multiple grooves that you can work with, the high, the low. People are always going to be searching for different lines to take around here. As the track kind of wears in, people will start to move up, and it'll be nice to see, especially in these Xfinity Series cars. So we're in for a lot of action tonight. I always love seeing Xfinity rip around here.
And with these cars, with this track, Keelan Belshaw, I'll turn to you over next because the competition is very high. 3 different winners over the past 4 races. Benjamin A. White, your winner at Daytona. Christian Visconti sweeping both Atlanta and Kansas Speedway. And then, of course, we had Parker White take the victory just last week at the Phoenix Raceway not too long ago. How do we see the competition in this? Because it seems as though the competition has been rather wide. We've seen some comers, we've seen some goers, but ultimately, it feels like pretty much the door's wide open for anybody to take checkered flags in this series so far.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. You just look at the points battle right now. 4 races in, so many guys right on top of each other. It's been a great first few races in this series, and it's going to continue tonight. Of course, Vegas, it's a track where anybody can prevail, these little mile and a halves, but you do have to be safe with your tires. The driver talent is going to have to come out tonight. It's going to be awesome, though. I think we got a great field. There's going to be some great competition all the way through the field, just like you said.
It's going to be a great night, no doubt, here from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It is our 3rd trip in the campaign to a 1.5-mile track. Of course, as I mentioned before, the other ones we visited, Atlanta and the Kansas Speedway. But this track itself has some history of its own. Opened all the way back in 1972, but has history dating to 1996 on this 1.5-mile configuration. Las Vegas Motor Speedway, not too far away from downtown Las Vegas and the main strip itself. There is a track in all of its glory in the desert. Again, 1.5 miles, 2.4 kilometers. 12 to 20 degrees though, progressively from the bottom of the racetrack all the way to the outside wall. So Charlie, I think this is going to be a big case because you mentioned it, just like Chicagoland, the multiple grooves that you have the option of taking here with these kind of cars and with the progressive banking ultimately just helps you. Also in the case that it's going to be a night race, so we're going to have higher grip, high level intensity, and of course a track that can open to every single groove for every driver that wants to take it.
High level, high intensity, like you said, and when the laps wind down, people are going to get more aggressive with those lines. They'll try to push the edge even more. We're going to see guys up against the wall later in the run, and it's going to be great racing all over this track. This track is definitely knows how to put it on a show, so it's going to be an exciting one tonight.
Definitely going to be an exciting one. And Keelan, I think with this combo, I don't think you've been on the KBueno Racing Network with us for this kind of series. We haven't really covered Xfinity since, I believe, LWRC back a couple months back, where Charlie Byer was the victory at Daytona. But this kind of car, very tough, very interesting to say the least, because you've got a good amount of power underneath the hood, 650 horsepower, a small spoiler. You've got a little downforce on this car, and with the tire wear at a track like this, means you're probably going to be sliding around. What do you seem to be the keys as a driver here, Keelan, when you go into this kind of race not being as long as it is?
Well, the driver just has to wheel that race car. Like you said, it's going to be a tough racetrack. It's one of those, of course, progressive banking. Not one groove is going to be preferred, so it's going to be a great night of racing. But that driver is going to have to take care of his race car throughout the night. It's 80 laps. It's a bit of a short one, like you said, but you still have to take care of that race car, because if you wear those tires out too early in a run, you're going to slip back. You're going to be slipping and sliding on a 71-degree track surface, not too hot, but still, the case is there. You got to take care of your stuff.
So drivers will look to do that in order to get the jackpot here tonight from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Right now, though, drivers are lined up on the grid, which means it is our time to take a look at your starting grid, see exactly where every driver and your favorite driver will be lining up here tonight for the Voices Designs 120 from the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway. On pole will be the 26 of Garrett A. White in his Clemson Toyota Supra. He has yet to get a victory in this WORC Dynamo Designs National Series. He will look for his first. A 30.4 will lead his to the green flag. Alongside first-time entrant into this series, Peter Kenny lines up the outside of row number 1. Good to see Peter Kenny making his very first start in this WORC Dynamo Designs National Series. Mason Sweet, Ezekiel Reyes will be the drivers back to P4. And before you find the number 13 of Quentin Haley in his machine starting 5th. Brady Cox in the 76. We saw him pull away from the field in the early stint at Phoenix last week. He's going to be looking for some 1.5 mile success starting in that 6th position. Ryan Martin, Chris Brown are the drivers all the way through P8 in row number 4, and then rounding out the top 10 in row number 5 is the 01 of Logan Pugh for Nova Sim Racing and the 80 of Christian Visconti looking for his 3rd win in the campaign. Charlie?
Right outside the top 10 inside in row number 6, number 77, Ethan Harrison. To his outside, Luke Slines in the number 94. The inside of row number 7 sees Hunter Collier in the number 98. To his outside, the 054 of Chris Jones. Row number 8, starting in the inside, is the 95 of Frederick Segraves. And to his outside, the 02 of Josh Patterson. And in row number 9, starting on the inside, is number 44 of Timmy Spetz. And to the outside, Shane Fuller in the number 57. And rounding out your top 20, starting 19th on the inside of row number 10, Aaron Griffin, sporting that number 4, and to his outside, the 099 of Kevin White Jr.
In the 11th row, Terry Mellum makes up the 21st position on the bottom with Bracing Collins to his outside. Richard Mandonson, the 977, in the 23rd position with Landon Dawson to his outside. Henry Clappert in the 34 starts in 25th. And then to his outside, last week's winner, Parker White, Wyatt Tinsley, and Gino Mero in row 14, row 15, Joe Burgee, Jay Mulder, Mason Thompson, DJ Powell, Dimitri Mondros, Ethan Workman, and Dylan Hervat, and round out the pack.
So those are all the drivers, 30 plus in turn here tonight from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. As everybody tails behind the iRacing official pace car, ready to get things started here tonight. Let's take a look at the weather just before we get this green flag here from Vegas. It's a nice air temp of 69 degrees. Winds to the north at about 15, 16 miles per hour. I think that's going to be a big case moving forward, guys, just because of the amount of wind pushing onto the nose or probably onto the tail of these NASCAR Xfinity Series cars. No humidity, no fog. We have a partly cloudy evening here tonight in Nevada. So it is going to be a beautiful night for sim racing. We had similar conditions earlier in the season at the Kansas Speedway in America's Heartland, where we had a similar start just as the sun was setting, and we had our nighttime affair where Gino Mero and Christian Visconti went toe-to-toe all the way to the start-finish line on a green, white, checkered restart. We'll see. That's the same case tonight. It'll be 120 miles, 80 laps, same configuration, same format. No different surprises on any of the intermediate tracks this season. Pace car will roll off for the first time tonight. It's 2 Toyotas on the front group. Garrett White, Peter Kenny, your first row as we kick off the Voices Designs 120 from Las Vegas. It's a quick jump early out of the debut driver, the 983, Peter Kenny, already up to the front of the field. Garrett White already in a battle himself with the outside lane. Ezekiel Reyes already moving quick up through the field. And it seems as though everybody's kept it mean and clean. One car all the way starting on pit road. A couple drivers struck the outside wall, but we are fine at 3 and 4. Peter Kenny with a couple car length lead.
Don't let that start by Peter Kenny go unnoticed. That was an aggressive move right on the start. They were 3 wide for the lead into turn 1. He had a good friend in the 07, Ezekiel Reyes, right behind. But Mason Sweet, that number 50, or excuse me, Garrett White, the number 26, goes from 1st to 4th in just the first 3 laps.
And Garrett White not necessarily pushing it early on, but two drivers who have pushed it on the starts, at least from last week and a couple of weeks ago. Keelan, the 07 of Ezekiel Reyes, the 76 of Brady Cox. Again, mentioned that 76 car really dominated the first segment of the Phoenix race and unfortunately could not get back to the front after a small incident in the middle of the field. But so far, so good from the field. Couple drivers almost 3 wide, but Peter Kenny, one of the new drivers here, already completing lap 3, and it seems as though he's pretty confident up at the front.
Yeah, Kenny with a really good start out of the gate, got up there and stuck it to the outside, got a good run through the middle of the corner, and so far he holds down the race lead. Ezekiel Reyes trying to reel him down as you ride along with Ethan Harrison in the 77 machine just outside the top 10 right now, trying to work his way up through the field as Logan Pugh and Ryan Martin battle it out in front of him come here off turn number 4.
Yeah, Logan Pugh, one of those drivers that we've seen kind of get close to the front, kind of get close to contention for race wins. Unfortunately, just hasn't fallen in his favor. Remember, we saw him a couple of weeks ago striking the inside wall on the back straightaway, signaled the end of his run at Kansas. And so ever since then, had a decent run at Phoenix before, I believe, also getting involved in crashes. And then obviously had to resort to going to the garage and having that day ended all throughout. Drivers do not have a faster pair, by the way, in this WORC Dynamo Designs National Series. So, Charlie, I think that's a very big point to go within this campaign because I think many times, especially even in the Bungeon Lawn Care Series when we covered it, just the fact that it was a strategy point if you had a faster pair available to you, which the whole field did every single race in terms of, okay, you had a little bit of forgiveness. If you got into a crash, you could go down pit road and get a fresh race car all the way to the very end. But this time around, in this series, if you've got damage, you've got to deal with it. There's no freebies here in this series whatsoever.
Well, the sky is the limit if you do have a faster pair because you can push the limit. Oh, and it looks like Logan Pugh in the 01 just got a little bit sideswiped out of turn 4 for 9th position there. But as you mentioned, these guys have a lot to lose now because not having that faster pair, not having that security to race a little bit more aggressive and kind of race as close as you want with each other, you know, there's just not that sense of security anymore. So you can definitely see these guys are taking a lot more conservative approach.
A ride on board with the Nova Sim Racing Ford Mustang. Logan Pugh on the outside. That was a completed pass on Ryan Martin. Remember, we saw him fighting with that driver in the 94, also respectively of Lucas Lyons, and they're also in a group with themselves. There you see Martin in a fight of his own, and a couple other drivers behind him, Ethan Harrison, Josh Patterson, Hunter Collier, and a bunch of others that we've seen run at the front here, Keelan, and they're all packed in. But over the course of the run, especially as the nighttime will start to progress, you'll see more drivers, I think, want to stay to that white line. I figure that's going to be the best place, Keelan, where tires are going to be ultimate save mode, and you can really push the limits of your car later in the race, and you don't really want to explore too much until probably later if you don't find any success on that white line.
Yeah, I think that'll definitely be the case. We like to talk about this Vegas racetrack as kind of a multi-groove surface, as you see him actually run the middle up here. But that middle, it may be faster for a little while, but that will shred your tires a lot more than getting down on that white line will be. To stay committed to that bottom, it'll be a lot more conservative of an approach, and it'll definitely improve your speed on the long run. You see Ezekiel Reyes there in the 07, running in the 2nd position right now, doing a great line, getting right down to that white line. That's what he's going to try to do, try to keep that car straight, keep those tires in check, trying to make a move on Peter Kenny a little bit later in this run.
Here's Chris Jones in the 054, currently in 16th. That's Junko's esports driver, Wyatt Tinsley on his inside. Seen Wyatt Tinsley very recently on the sim. If you watch IDK Players YouTube channel, he's been a part of those hosted races, been a part of a couple other league events as well. And Wyatt Tinsley at the moment rocking the bottom. He's going to be able to get P15 off of that inside pass in turn 3. And he's got a good headway look at Charlie Byer, one of the more dominant drivers that we've seen on the KBueno Racing Network, period. Parker White, as he gets real loose there, a bit of a shot there from the 98 of Collier coming onto the trial wall. But Parker White, this driver right here, took the victory last week at the Phoenix Raceway, and this is of course his only 2nd start in the WORC Dynamo Designs National Series campaign. But no doubt this North Force Racing driver has some speed, and at the moment currently working up to P13, trying to get around what looks to be the 77 of Ethan Harrison.
And if you want to talk about a driver's rise from underdog status to domination, look no further than that 95 of Parker White. We've seen a lot of development in that number 095 car. Even in his first starts in the Bungeon Lawn Care Series, how he was putting runs together, putting races together one at a time, gaining respect from guys, and going out and winning a championship in many other leagues that we've seen on the KBueno Racing Network. So Parker White definitely is the one to watch as he starts clawing his way through the field, already halfway through from his starting position to the front.
Already making quick progress up to P12 now. We'll look forward to the next driver in line, the next Supra in line also. Josh Patterson in the 0-2 as he watches a battle between Ryan Martin and what appears to be Logan Pugh. They still are going side by side back to turn 1 and may slow them a bit down. May reel in Patterson as he'll give a little bit of help to his teammate in that Ford Mustang. Couple of drivers though struck the outside wall, fanned all the way to the inside lane. Try to look exactly who that might have been. Could have been the 77 of Ethan Harrison, Keelan, and that could have been large if it packed everybody in, but luckily we stay green. You see a bit of that damage on the 77 as well.
Yeah, Harrison smacked that fence, went into that lap in 13th. He's definitely going to lose some here, but again, that was a good job by everybody keeping their car straight, because early in the race, remember, I mentioned earlier, no fast repairs, so if people were to get bottled up there, we would have definitely been in trouble early in this night as people continue to scramble for positions back there. But here is your leader, Peter Kenny, trying to fend off Ezekiel Reyes, who has reeled him in over the course of this run.
And that last time by, it was almost a 0.3 of a difference in the positive route of Ezekiel Reyes. They're a bit faster. We'll see as they cross the line just how far they fare. It's a 31.785 for the driver of the 07. It's a 31.8 on the respects of Peter Kenny. So I believe right now Charlie tires, the Goodyear Eagles rather, really starting to fall off on Kenny's machine. And should we stay green, we could look at some potential green flag pit stops, but at the moment, this is all about keeping your nose clean, keeping your car all intact, and also keeping your grip up there as well in the shoes of your race car. And it looks like the 07 of Ezekiel Reyes found a bit of momentum off of turn 4, and we could find ourselves a battle for the race lead back to turn 1.
It's only a matter of inches that plays a factor into saving your tires, especially in these cars and especially at this racetrack. You see Peter Kenny just has not found the correct line to save his tires as much as that 07 as he looks to the inside, side by side down the back straightaway on lap 16 of this 80-lap run. Ezekiel Reyes looking to take it, and this could Peter Kenny could be thinking, as the caution comes out, Peter Kenny could be thinking of more pit strategy.
Well, it looks like everybody might look for pit road as Timmy Spatz, I believe he's the cause of our first caution here on lap number 16 of 80, started back in 17th. And there you see a bit of the damage assessed to his Chevrolet Camaro. Not too much, but I believe he could have maybe been involved in this incident, which would seem to have happened all the way on the back straightaway. We'll see if we can get an exact look. And Logan Pugh, I believe Keelan, was involved in this incident. If you take a look, we'll go right to the replay. This is the 44 Timmy Spatz. I think up the road is the 01 of Pugh. And there may have just been a predisposed incident off of that second corner. Indeed it was. So Pugh got involved in that. I believe maybe the proximity racing car. And then right there, Timmy Spatz gets a bit of the action there. But it seems as though Logan Pugh might have been the biggest, I'd say, starter here off of turn 2. You'll see it here as he gets loose as everybody packs in 3 wide. And Kevin White Jr. is the second one involved. That Chevrolet Camaro there.
You saw Pugh just bounce off the wall when those tires fall off and those cars start pushing towards the fence. These are some of the hardest race cars to control, and you just saw it right there. Couldn't keep it out of the fence, or if he could have, he would have coughed up some positions, and that's the last thing he wanted to do. He was putting forward a good run just outside the top 10 at one point in time, but right there, that incident knocks Kevin White Jr. around. And then I really think that 44 of Spatz, he did a good job avoiding the most part of it. Might have got a little bit of it, but definitely could have been a lot worse, and actually did go for Timmy.
So Timmy, indeed, I think gets the least end of the stick on that one. Thankfully for him, I believe he's going to be able to take it down pit road with minimal damage. Meanwhile, Logan Pugh in the 01, I think he definitely has the worst of it. He's going to spend the most time down pit road. But speaking of the race off pit road, it looks as though Ezekiel Reyes might have beat Peter Kenny. Indeed, he is. So there he is right there in the 07 Camaro, rocking out of turn 2. And he back to the merge line, and it seems as though top 3, Frederick Seagraves, Lucas Lyons, and Chris Brown are the first 3 drivers to stay out on the racetrack on our first yellow. We'll see how they fare here. But so far for the Goodyear Eagles, I think it'll go pretty much in the positive for everybody. 4th on back, and for the top 3, gonna have to brace for impact and see exactly what they can do to keep themselves to the front. Under our first caution here in the Voices Designs 120 here from Las Vegas. We'll take a quick side-by-side break, but you won't miss a thing from the Valley of Nevada as we take one more break in. We'll let you know everything on the other side. We'll get to Green Flag Racing in just a moment. You're watching coverage of Round 5 of the WORC Dynamo Designs National Series from Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
We've been waiting for this moment. Generations of innovation all coming together in one place. A pedigree of more than 70 years of NASCAR Cup Series history, from the past to the present, from Petty to Earnhardt to Elliott. Today, there's no more waiting. The future of NASCAR is now. Drive the next-gen cars today on iRacing and step into the next generation of racing.
Ready to get back to green flag action here in the Voices Designs 120 from the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Kenneth Bueno, Charlie Byer, Keelan Belsha in the broadcast booth. As top three have stayed out on the oldest tires of the field, and it is not working out for them. 3 wide into turn 3. Looks like Ezekiel Reyes trying to split through the middle. 94, Lucas Lyons all the way to the top. Everybody so far good, though, as Zeke tries to go for the lead this time. Now Cox now to the inside.
Brady Cox with an aggressive move out of turn number 2, going for the lead in turns number 3 and 4. Ezekiel Reyes and Peter Kennedy did not get the jump that they wanted. Peter Kennedy under attack from Wyatt Tinsley as well. They're side by side down the front straightaway. Not clear yet. Brady is. We'll see if he gets him into turns 1 and 2.
And Keelan, you mentioned under brake. This was not a good call from the top 3 to stay on the oldest tires. If you're one of these guys right now, what can you try to do to make sure you can kind of, I'd say, stop the bleeding here as Zeke hits the outside wall for turn 2?
I don't know what much you can do except what Lucas Lyons is doing right now. He's stuck to the outside of Brady Cox for about a lap before he started dropping back. And right now it's just about maintaining your track position and hoping the strategy works out in your favor. I don't know if they necessarily have a limited amount of tire sets, but if that was the strategy call to try and keep extra set of tires in the pits or possibly a green-white checkered. But I mean, this race is short 80 laps. I don't see the call, but these guys just have to maintain as much track position as they can right now because they're going to start falling like rocks.
He's got one car there coming out of pit road in the Taco Bell machine, but they seem to merge well out of turn 2, and they're 3 wide as Lucas Lyons got flushed down to the bottom, and there goes Ethan Workman in the 25. First time we see him all night long in his Ohio State Chevrolet Camaro, one of the top contenders, heavy hitters, if you should say, out of the Atlanta Motor Speedway in race number 2. And the caution will come out once again, will slow his progress here. And as everybody fouls through, I believe, may have been an incident near the rear of the field, and don't see many of these guys involved in it, but huge damage, actually, matter of fact, to the 93 of Dimitri Mandros.
Big damage. The caution comes out yet again, and we'll see if this works out for the guys who stayed out on those old tires here, because this caution gives them another chance to go down pit road and kind of have a bit of an advantage going into this run. So we got the replay here, this number 93.
Trying to see what happened is everybody was pretty much flailing through turns 1 and 2. And I can't quite see it, can't quite get the camera on the actual incident itself and who might have been in it. You see everybody gets through to the front straightaway to the trial. Well, it doesn't seem to be that big of an issue. And then everybody slows down right about here to turn 1. So I believe may have been something near exactly, I think directly the rear of the field, to be quite honest, as everybody slows down right about here. So it may have been just drivers all the way near the very back, I think Keelan is. I don't believe we're going to be able to get an exact look here. Everybody, though, slows down, and it looks like Brady Cox is going to be a race leader.
Yeah, and Cox did a great job on that restart. If you remember just a few short minutes ago, he did a great aggressive move coming off turn 2. Went up there and took the position away in the top spot, as there were a few split decisions back there. Frederick Seagraves and Lucas Lyons, those guys who did stay out, are pitting Joe Burgee also going down. So all those guys who stayed out, their strategy might not necessarily work for them, because I think if you wanted that strategy to work, you would have wanted to maintain your track position as much as you could and let it go as long as possible, because now you go back there and pitted later, you lost your track position and you're pretty much on even tires now. Maybe a 3-lap advantage, but once those tires start to even out, that won't mean very much.
So for the 76, he'll stay out. That moves Wyatt Tinsley to P2 for the first time tonight. So this is ultimately the first time we really see Wyatt Tinsley here, Charlie, into the top 3, I think, in any race so far in this season. Ethan Workman, of course, no surprise that he's worked his way up well through the field so far. Same deal for, I'd say, the 71 of Gino Mero, the 95 of Parker White, Mason Sweet. I think Hunter Collier among some of the regular names that we've seen across the series up to this point, but Wyatt Tinsley definitely doing good. And I think using the fresh tires to your advantage is one that really played well to guys like Cox or guys like Tinsley, just because they got to split a bunch of drivers, got to use the buffer of the 3 that did stay out to kind of fend off everybody else who was trying to beat them all the way to the front. And then, of course, obviously get into the factor of drivers hitting the outside wall. Zeke into the outside wall off of turn 2 also helped to spread the field out and gave these 2 cars, or rather these 3 up front, the opportunity to take position where they are right now.
That's how quickly these races can change with this tire strategy, with those pit stops, with these aggressive calls, as a lot of the guys from the back can just stay out and hope for a quick yellow like we just saw. And now they're up front racing for the lead and possibly the win as we start to creep towards halfway in this race. So that's just how quickly these strategies can change and get turned on its head with some of these guys.
As Dimitri Manjos in the 93, you saw him coming out of pit road. He's got no front clip and no hood on his Red Bull Ford Mustang. So I best believe that he's going to try and muster whatever he can in terms of the point situation, but it is not going to be easy on the route whatsoever to get to the front or to try to be rather competitive for the rest of this race. So I believe we're going to go green around next time by. I believe we're going to get the 1 to green signal by the time this pace car does hit the line here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So we're just going to wait just a little bit, see exactly where everybody will fan through. But ultimately, I think, Keelan, if we talk back to the conversation of competition being wide open, I think this is a very good example. You have Brady Cox, who did well at Phoenix, showed us a little bit of how good he can be in this series, but didn't get the win in the Arizona desert. Now he's got an opportunity to stay up front and potentially get this win. Wyatt Tinsley, we've never seen him hit victory lane, so he's got the opportunity. Ethan Workman, he's gotten close, but he's never gotten the cigar. He's up here in 3rd. Gino Mero, also very close to the win a couple of weeks back. Parker White is really the only driver in the top 5, I'd say, Keelan, that has a proper race win in this season coming last week. So really anybody, I think, under these yellows, and like Charlie mentioned, is just going to blow the door more wide open and have more chances like these guys who don't have wins yet to come up to the field and put their name in the ring.
Yeah, this is anybody's race right now. I mean, if you look throughout the top 5, 4 of the top 5 drivers started 26th or further back. That just shows you how good the talent pool is in WORC right now and the great drivers that they have. And like you said, it's wide open. We saw Peter Kenny, Ezekiel Reyes, they battled for the lead early, and now it's Brady Cox, Wyatt Tinsley, Ethan Workman, Bino Morrow. They're all up there racing hard. These are a lot of great drivers, but the win can only go to one guy, so it's going to be a good race. I'm excited for the tail end of this. It's going to be good.
I mean, close to halfway here, approximately 12 laps before we get to the cross section here of this Voices Designs 120 from Vegas. So it'll line up like this. 2 Chevrolet Camaros on the front row. Brady Cox and Wyatt Tinsley will lead us back to green flag action, along with Ethan Workman and the 71 of Gino Mero back behind in row number 2. You'll find Parker White, Mason Sweet back to row number 3 up to P6. Dylan Hervatten in the number 45, or the 045 rather. He'll be in 7th. Hunter Collier is currently 8th. 9th and 10th belong to Richard Mandonson, the 977, and the 77 of Ethan Harrison. So that lines up everybody through the top 10. Other notable movers throughout the field include the 83 of Joe Berge, and of course Timmy Spatz in the 44. We saw him involved on the inside of the back straightaway with Logan Pugh and Kevin White Jr. He's now back up to the top 15. Early start here by the 76 of Brady Cox. We're back underway here in the Voices Designs 120 from Las Vegas, and that 76 gets a good jump to turn 1.
Good couple car lengths separates him and the 001 of Wyatt Tinsley. They're side by side for 2nd place. A few names that I'm watching here: Parker White in that number 095 in the inside lane, currently sitting 5th. He's going to be aggressive. We know that he was one of those guys who pit for those tires. But down into turn number 3, it looks like once again Wyatt Tinsley is being aggressive.
Tinsley already aggressive to the front. He's got that pretty much the windshield full of the rear bumper of that 76. Got to beat the 25 and the 71 in their tracks. And now they're side by side for what seems to be third on the racetrack. Parker White is kind of laid back just a bit, watching, and pretty much Keelan going to see how this all unfolds. If they make any sort of contact, or if they get a bit too aggressive, could open it up for the 95 to get back in it. But so far, Ethan Workman giving a shove here to Tinsley, and Tinsley still not going to beat the 71 back to turn 3.
Yeah, Tinsley wrapping that white line like we said would be preferred, but when they're both on fresh tires, that top's going to be the advantage. Just the faster way around the racetrack. Might not be faster as the run progresses, but you see Merrow make work of Tinsley right there. Ethan Workman, Parker White rounding out the top 5 as the 71 sets his sights on the 76 of Brady Cox as he look further back to the field.
Everybody single file so far. A bit of 2-wide action around where Peter Kenny is. You mentioned him starting on the pole tonight in his Hubba Bubba Toyota Supra. He's now on heavy defense here on the 34. That's Henry Clappert, the 80, 2-time winner this season. And Christian Visconti in his Visco car, Chevrolet Camaro. That's the 57 of Shane Fuller up ahead in his Sunoco car. And so Peter Kenny falling off just a little bit here in this run. I think the same deal could be said, Charlie, here for pretty much the top 2 runners up until that first yellow. The 07 of Ezekiel Reyes, we saw him hit the outside wall in that last run, so that stalled him out, killed his momentum, and so he's now fighting through the midfield. And just the same deal for the pole sitter, both of them having to really rebound after the first stretch of yellows tonight.
Yeah, these two had a pretty impressive start to start this run, led the first 18 laps before that first yellow flag came out, and they just got the short end of the stick on that pit strategy. As Ezekiel Reyes, very aggressive. He got right by the number 54 of Peter Kenny, and these guys are just going to spend the whole rest of this run just clawing their way through the field, seeing if they can have some sort of pit strategy to even better their position. But looks like Ezekiel Reyes is on that fresh, on a pair of fresh tires because he is flying.
Yeah, that 07 certainly making some moves. Here's Henry Clapper, Lucas Lyons next on the chopping block. And so the 07 will be down to the inside. We'll follow fellow 2-time race winner Christian Visconti to the inside. They'll split here on Ethan Workman. And so that 07 definitely looks like the power is there out of the ACOG machine. And giving the shove to the fellow bow tie up ahead. And he's now worked his way into P14. First time we see him in the top 15 since that incident where he struck the outside wall. We have a battle for the race lead. Keelan blocking all the way to the inside is Brady Cox in the 76. Merrow trying to make work on the outside.
Cox threw a big block to the bottom there. I've been watching him the last 2 or 3 laps, and Morrow has continuously got closer and closer on the outside, but he hasn't been able to clear him yet because Cox is sticking just with him. And in the time Gino tried to go to the bottom, Cox threw the block on him, side by side, entering turn 1, wheel to wheel. Merrow may get him off the corner here. Going to try and pull him down the backstretch is Cox, trying to stick with him, but there goes the 71 to the race lead for the first time tonight.
You know, Merrow and his Sim Pit Ford Mustang gets to the first point on the racetrack, the race lead for the first time as we get closer to halfway. And I think a very interesting maneuver there, Charlie, and one that I don't think we really talked about, as Keelan pointed out, that middle lane definitely has speed at this track with these cars. But what you can do is if you have somebody in the inside, you can pinch them, force them to use less throttle in avoidance of hitting you or hip checking you coming out of the corner. And so that slows the momentum out of the car on the bottom side. And so the driver right in the middle who's pinching the driver below could easily keep his momentum, keep his pace, and that's exactly what the 71 did to take the race lead away.
You're exactly right. And when you pinch someone down towards the yellow line, you're sort of taking their real estate away on exit, because a lot of the guys who come down towards the bottom line always watch up towards the wall on the exit of the corner. So if you stick your car right above him, he's not going to be able to come up and maximize that run. Therefore, you can use the momentum on the outside to go right by. As we see that battle for fourth place, Dylan Herbatin and the number 045 trying to look under the number 25 of Ethan Workman.
This is the first time we see Dylan Hervatin in this WORC Dynamo Designs National Series. Failed on that attempt to get by the 25, which in turn would have put him in P3 so far on the podium. But Hervatin rocking the Harrison Burn colors from not too long ago. The same colors that went to victory lane at Texas Motor Speedway earlier, not too long ago in the Xfinity Series in real life. And so that 45 trying to maximize as much as he can in this run. And now that he's got the position to do so, White Tinsley has kind of calmed out. He's in 5th. And if you want to see where Parker White is on the racetrack, he has fallen back to P14. There he is. So either maybe some struggles out of the 95, Keelan, or maybe a trick up his sleeve to save and to wait for everybody to burn their stuff up.
Well, knowing Parker White, I think he's probably being very conservative because you don't see him make a lot of mistakes that end up in his car being this damaged. So if I'm if I'm in his shoes right now, I'm pretty sure I'm conserving that race car. As you see, Ezekiel Reyes has crawled his way through the field in a short amount of time, making it to the top 10 as the battle for the race lead is heating up again. Brady Cox has reeled down the 71, actually gave him a bit of a shot down the backstretch this last time.
At 76, trying to keep up pace. Last time by, it looks like Cox was a little bit faster off of the draft, the 31.46, as Tamero's 31.5, and as they cross the line, it's actually fairly even, although Cox now just a little bit slower, and Mero trying to keep his pace up and most likely hold on to the race lead. But as we cross over to lap number 40 here in the Voices Designs 120 for the WORC Dynamo Designs National Series, we will take a look at our race summary, which is always presented to us by Supermix. At 71, Gino Mero close to the race win at Kansas a couple of weeks back. He's in current control of the race lead. We've completed 39, now completing 40 laps of the 80 scheduled tonight over the 120 miles. We have exactly 40 laps remaining as they cross back to turn 1. We've had a total of 4 lead changes, most of them happening under yellow. We've only had 2 cautions tonight for a total of 8 laps. That's your race summary presented to us by Supermix. Brady Cox, Charlie Wire, has really put it on. I think he waited for the opportunity for Mero to get by just so he can do this, retaliate back and make sure and let that 71 know, hey, I'm not going to be gone just yet. He's poked the nose to the outside, and they are door to door coming to the start-finish line.
Brady's exactly where he wants to be when battling for the race lead. He took that high line away from Gino, but Gino washes up the track just a little bit. These guys are not all the way out against the yellow line. Here comes the number 71 washing up the track, and they're still going to be side by side down the back straightaway.
And that run here off of turn number 2 is going to go to that 76, although Mero has the preferred lane on the bottom in turn 3. And so with that arc that the 76 takes, Mero is most likely going to be able to clear a crossover now out of Cox. A failed attempt, though, cannot find his way proper to the inside. And guess what this is all doing here, Keelan Belsha? Bringing in the third party. Ethan Workman in the 25 has been watching this battle. He played good defense on the 045 of Hervatin to keep himself in third. But now that he's seen the 76 and the 71 do this, he's got prime opportunity to take advantage if necessary.
Yeah, his mouth is watering as he reels in this top 2. Cox trying to find anything in him to get around the 71 of Mero, but Mero playing great defense right now and holding that top 2 up is allowing the 25 of Ethan Workman to reel him in. That time around, Workman a bit faster than both of the top 2 right now. He is reeling them down, and if they keep racing each other hard, he's going to have that race car in a few laps to possibly get around both of them. As there you see the 76 in the fence. The 25 is going to get around him as Cox bounces off the wall. Here comes Hervatin making contact with Workman.
And Hervatin almost got into it, almost fully dumped the 25 going into turn 3. You can see the damage there to the right front of the Toyota Supra. That's going to help Gino Mero calm his nerves, be a little bit more relaxed here off of the pressure. Well, that bunched up everybody third on back, because that also is bringing in the 68 of DJ Powell. We haven't talked about him all night long, and with the 25 of Workman starting 34 tonight, it's a 32nd start, 32nd position start for DJ Powell. And so these are the big movers through the field, Charlie Byer, and they are starting to take real advantage of everybody here as Workman and Hervatin fight for P2.
A quarter of a straightaway now separates your leader, Gino Mero, from that number 045 of Dylan Hervatin. So he's got a lot of room to breathe here, but the battle for second still is going on as you now have a new contender, as you said, DJ Powell, that number 68. He can take advantage of this battle while they're side by side going into turn 1.
And Workman might get a little tight on the bottom side, knowing that Hervatin is trying to take the air away here. Powell's going to get the run out of the degree of banking, and Hervatin hits the outside wall. He's going to drift around. Is he going to be able to save the car? Answer is somewhat yes, but he's going to officially spin it on the apron, I believe. We're going to stay green just because that is underneath the racing line. Hervatin is able to keep the car straight without any sort of heavy damage, and so I believe we're going to be able to continue racing here. The Voices Designs 120, that completely destroyed any momentum that second on back had gained. Now Workman a full second and a half almost from himself and Gino Mero, and also putting the gap between him and the 76.
Yeah, Hervatin, ever since that right front damage that he had with getting into the 25, his car was just plowing. It was not racing good. So there you see Wyatt Tinsley in the 4th position, Mason Sweet in the top 5, trying to reel him down as Hervatin was in trouble. Back there, Mero puts a guy a lap down. Workman falls off about 2/10 there as we get a look at what happened to Hervatin here.
See there, just a simple case of what happened, I think, on one of the previous cautions with Logan Pugh. Just struck the outside wall, tried to revert it back to the bottom to get it off of the fence, and luckily swerved all the way down to the apron without hitting a single soul, and luckily was able to also keep his car relatively clean in the process. And that 045, although he's going to be able to continue, is going to be a uphill battle, to say the least. He's going to lose a lot of time, and in turn, of course, going to lose everything to the race leaders right now. And so that is really going to kill his momentum, and we'll see if he's going to hope for a yellow from here on out to see if he can continue his route all the way through the front. But so far, the front place driver, Gino Mero, has pulled it out to 1.8 seconds over that 25. So safe to say, coming to 30 laps to go, Charlie, the 71 dodged the bullet. He got the bullet, though, at the right time from everybody behind him.
He did, and it's paying off, because now he's pulling up to almost a 2-second lead. But looking back at one of the victims from that Dylan Hervatin incident, DJ Powell in that number 68, he took evasive action, went all the way to the apron, slid back up the racetrack, lost a few positions, and I think he got as low as 7th there, but now he's back up to 5th. As you mentioned, during that last run, he was able to get up into 4th and put himself in a position to start battling for these top 3 positions. But here he is now, fighting back right under the number 76.
So here he comes, DJ Powell, now working on the bottom side of Brady Cox here. This is for officially P4 on the track. They let Wyatt Tinsley by in his Humco Esports Chevrolet Camaro, and so Tinsley works back into 3rd. Of course, mentioned a Workman still in 2nd, and of course Gino Mero, your current race leader. Another big mover tonight, Mason Sweet in the 56. Haven't seen him all too much in his Lime.com Chevrolet Camaro, but he's starting to pick it up, and so are the drivers right behind him. 2-time winner Visconti and Ezekiel Reyes in the 07. So I think Keelan Belsha, it's starting to work out for these drivers in the long run. But I pose this question to you: do these guys hope for the long run to persist as Brady Cox comes down pit road, or do they hope for a yellow to come out so they can even themselves with your race leader Mero and have a better chance of taking the lead away?
Well, right now, Mero's outrunning them all, so I think they have to have something different. I think being 4 seconds back right now is not going to be enough time to reel them down in green. If you're satisfied with the top 10, then so be it. But if you want to get up there for the race win, I think you're going to have to have something shift in your favor, which would more than likely be a yellow or a good green flag pit stop strategy. And Brady Cox, with him going down, I'll be curious to see if that does start green flag pit stops. Right now, I would doubt it, but I just saw Parker White dip down there, so maybe this is starting the green flag pit stops. Try not to let anybody get too much of an advantage.
And Parker White was on 35-lap old tires before he made his stop, so now he's going to come in for service. That's going to be 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles on his car. Looks like Hunter Collier. Actually, no, there was another car driver just behind that 95 that also went down to pit. And I believe we're starting to see a very interesting cycle of drivers who are starting to pit, going down for service. I believe the next one there, that was Mason Sweet in the 56. And so pit strategy is starting to become an issue here, Charlie. And I believe also race leader Gino Mero, indeed, there he is on pit road as well.
That is your race leader, number 71, Gino Mero, is coming down. He's one of the early takers of this green flag pit stop strategy. So while this happens, we're going to see these guys start to stretch it out, and we're also going to see another couple of guys start to come in early, and that's just going to be the difference. And it's definitely going to play a factor in these tires as these laps wind down. We're just approaching less than 30 laps to go in this race.
And here come the leaders that stayed out after Gino Mero. That's 25 of Ethan Workman, the 001 of Wyatt Tinsley there. And I believe the next driver up here, DJ Powell, he's going to be in the race lead for the moment. And we'll see whether him, Ezekiel Reyes, Christian Visconti, or anybody else behind him come down for service. But at this point, I think Charlie mentioned it, Keelan, the opportunity to make an overcut or make an undercut. You have all the opportunity in the world to take either approach depending on your circumstance. And for many that are trying to go for the win, I think the risks are imminent. I think they're probably going to want to take these risks, knowing their situation, in order to gain position and to potentially try to take the win away from Mero, who's been so dominant over the last, I'd say, 15 laps.
Yeah, I mean, you got to do something different here if you're Powell, if you're Reyes, if you're Visconti, because you were back, just inside the top 15, maybe top 10, 5 seconds back of that guy. You need to do something different, and I think this is something different they're trying. Maybe Ezekiel Reyes, knowing he might not have the race-winning pace, because that car, remember, it was wounded when he hit the wall earlier. Strategy call, maybe something he needs to do different, but right now, I do like this call by Powell and Reyes and them all staying out right now. Try something different. Maybe it'll work out in your favor.
And of course, for Powell and Ezekiel Reyes, they really have nothing to lose in their case. I think Visconti really the only one that's rather comfortable here, working a different strategy, because he's got the 2 wins. He's got a good amount of buffer between himself and second place in the point standings. But we'll see exactly what the driver of this 80 car does. And for the moment, top 3 up until now, Visconti. If not decided to slow down, top 2 will stay out. Visconti will be the next one to pit here. And I believe Mason Thompson in that 81 is going to stay out as well. Here comes the 95. That's Frederick Seagraves in his car. He's going to come in for service. I believe same deal here, exactly for the 9 of Ryan Martin. And so green flag pit stops are in full effect. I see Dylan Hervatin down pit road as well. And so everybody's trying to make sure they can out-strategize the other. And fresh tires are, I think, going to be a premium here, Charlie, coming for this next stint.
And I'm really interested just how far DJ Powell, Ezekiel Reyes, I'm interested to see how far they're going to stretch it, because eventually it reaches a threshold where the fresher tires aren't going to be able to make that much pace, because you're not going to have enough laps left if you push it that far. So, you know, as we approach the 20 lap to go mark coming this next lap, it's going to be really, really interesting to see as we got these fresh tire guys starting to barrel through the field right now.
And that is DJ Powell on the bottom 3 wide. I think this is the call for action on him to go down pit road for what will be most likely the final time tonight. And indeed, there goes the driver of the 68, Ezekiel Reyes, hard on the brakes to try and join him on the fun. Mason Thompson, the 3rd driver there in that purple Taco Bell Camaro. So he will follow suit next. That'll push Gino Mero up to P6 for the moment. And so all the top 3 will come in for service. Again, this is most likely their final pit stop. There's Joe Berge in the 83, Josh Patterson in the 02, the Nova Sim Racing drivers up there as well. And so it looks like Keelan Belsha, the driver of the 71, will be a race leader, and probably by a decent margin to the driver behind him. We've got a couple questions in chat, though, to address. One by our fellow friend Cole Williams. Remember seeing him in competition in the Bunge Lawn Care Series. He asked, how many tire sets do these drivers have? And I think I'm going to ask this question on top of that. How is it going to affect the main leaders here within these final stops?
Well, we got 3 sets for each driver right now, so that's what these guys have to worry about. They got 3 sets to negotiate throughout the race, and I'm pretty sure everybody out front right now, like the Mero and White and Tinsley, they have all used 2, so they got 1 more if it comes down to that. So, but there may be some guys further back, because we did see those strategy calls on the first caution, like Lucas Lyons. He stayed out. He may have an extra set in the bank, but I think with 20 laps to go, it might not be too much of an effect on these guys right now. So I don't think tires, I don't think they should be an issue, but they had 3, so that's what they got.
I think I'll also open the possibility of potential green-white checkered attempts if we end up there. I believe we only do have 1 to end this race under green, so I think after that first attempt we'll just end the race under yellow, and then we'll just have a winner decided, and tires probably won't be as big of a factor. But when you count in just how interesting drivers want to point out the strategies, and just how interesting they can make these strategies really all together, that extra tire set, if they have it, is going to be really pivotal if we've got a late yellow, and tires are going to matter more than anything on the track. Also have another question by EJC, Eli Comerford, a friend of ours. He asks to you guys up at the booth, Charlie and Keelan, how does it feel to be back in the booth for both of y'all after what seemed like a while?
It's been a solid 10 months since the iRacing Bunge Lawn Care Series finale over at Homestead. I believe that was March. I need to confirm that, but that was March of 2021. So that was a whole 10 months ago. So, I mean, it's definitely a change again, because, you know, I haven't been in the commentary scene at all. But, you know, I found my place here. This is where, you know, I was for a really long time broadcasting for this network. So, I don't know. I guess the seat still fits.
Keelan, your thoughts?
Just happy to be back up here. I mean, over the little break I had from being up here, I remember LWRC, probably the last time I was up here with y'all, but I've been doing the Quick Time iRacing League up there with Shane DiManto. I've been doing all that, but then I came up here Thursday. You said, hey, want to join me? So I said, yeah, I'll come up here. And we got Charlie up here. I'm excited to be back. I love KBRN, love watching their streams and sometimes their replays. So it's a great network, Kenneth. You do a great job with it, and I just appreciate the opportunity to come up here with you.
We certainly appreciate it. Of course, if you viewers right now watching from home don't know the history that we have all three of us. I know Keelan Belsha has been part of our QuickTime broadcast, which he covers on the QuickTime Sprint Car Series YouTube channel, like you mentioned, with Shane D. Mantova. Fellow broadcasters on that side, Charlie Barrow, longtime broadcaster. He's one of the people that helped me get the start of this KBueno Racing Network, especially with our mainstay series, the iRacing Bungeon Lawn Care Series, up until that Season 3 finale at Homestead of Miami. So I think it's good that we have the environment back in, we have everybody back together, and definitely covering a very good race tonight from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. As here's another interesting point. We have a bunch of drivers second on back clustered together because Gino Mero, we mentioned him, pretty much cleared the lead by a good margin. It's closing in. It's 1.1 seconds, and I believe closing just a bit between himself and the 095 of Parker White. But Parker White does have to worry about a couple of drivers behind him, because there follows a 001 of White, Tinsley and his Zunko Esports machine, Ethan Workman, Mason Sweet, and I believe that's the only driver left before you get to Hunter Collier, who's a couple of seconds and actually still rather a ways away from many of the drivers here in the top three. So everything somewhat here, Charlie, is starting to bunch up together, and I feel that if you're the 71 of Mero, you may have to start looking in that rearview mirror just a little bit more than you did after the initial cycle, just because we're coming down to 10 laps to go.
Now, like you mentioned, we just passed the 15 lap to go marker, just a couple laps to go, so it is go time, and the caution has come out. Speak of the devil, Kenneth, as you mentioned earlier, oh, that's Peter Kenny across the racetrack.
Peter Kenny, the one in trouble with 71, and Mero trying to get around him, and there is a destroyed Hubba Bubba car. The Hubba Bubba bubble has popped officially here at lap 68. And your pole sitter, who was doing well up until this point, unfortunately got in the incident 1 and 2. We'll see if he had any help. That is a front clip completely torn off of the Toyota Supra. And so as the leader, Gino Mero, had a bit of a moment trying to get around. That 54, nonetheless, brings out our caution here with just about 12 laps to go. We'll see exactly how this happened here, whether the 54 had some help, and I think he did here, Keelan. This is fighting with 77 of Ethan Workman. This is coming out of the tri-oval, and right there, easy explanation. 77 and the 54 get together. An extra hit of Quentin Haley in the 13, and then coming across is your race leaders.
And leaders did a great job avoiding that. And Kenny, of course, right there going into turn 1. You see Ethan Harrison in the 77. Looks like Kenny comes up. Kind of just went a little too far up, just by a little bit, and it ended up turning him in there. Quentin Haley, not too many places to go, and the leaders did a good job avoiding this. Of course, this is on board with Gino Mero in the 71. Gonna see the wrecked race cars going down into turn 1. Gonna have to go around the top of them here. Watch Kenny and the pink car start to wreck, and he had a car to his outside. That's the scary part. Look at him dash to the bottom of the racetrack. Goodness gracious. Also, Wyatt Tinsley, who was running in a 3rd position, has fallen out of the session, so that will knock one of the contenders in the top 3 out.
Yeah, that's a surprising strategy for Parker White. I guess he was expecting a lot more people to come down. He pitted from the 2nd position, and it's a gamble. So this is going to be definitely be a chess game coming into these last 10 laps with Parker White having these fresher tires. He's got a lot of people in front of him that he can pass, but the question is, can he pass 17 cars in just a short amount of time?
It's a good amount of cars on this round. I believe he's going to move up to 12th on the running order. If I see, it actually is 12th right now. Scored behind Richard Mandonza in the 977. I believe they're hitting pit road to follow. That's Ryan Martin just in front. I believe those are some lap cars. So we'll see them clear out. And so it'll be a bit of a buffer here for the 95. But no doubt, I think the fresh tires are going to help him carry to the front rather easily. But Keelan, I mean, there's kind of a double-edged sword when you talk about fresh tire power on these kind of tracks, because yes, the benefit of the doubt is that you're going to be way faster. You're going to be able to easily beat cars. You're not going to have to really fight them all too hard coming into the corner or going out of the exit or onto the straightaway. You're most likely going to have all the momentum. You're going to be setting the fastest lap times, no doubt, with the elevated grip. But then the other side of it that's pretty negative, and you can get bid on it if you take it the wrong way, is that when you have a buffer, you can easily get stuck in a traffic jam. Drivers are probably not going to be as willing to give you as much space as necessary to let you buy on fresh rubber. Chances are, especially at this point of the race, they're going to want to defend as much as possible, and they'll probably go to any extent that they can to make sure you don't get by them, even if you're on fresh rubber. So there's a big debate about this kind of call from Parker White, but ultimately we'll just see how it all fares out.
And I like the call because we know Parker White and we know his driving style. He can make quick work of anybody. And of course, like you said, he is going to have a lot of traffic to work around here. It's going to be 11 cars in front of him, 5 rows, but we know he can do this before. He's probably done this in a bunch of lawn care series, so he knows how to do it. He's got momentum from last week. I think fresh tires, I like the call. I like it. If you're back there in 12th, you just got to be patient. And that's what he's got to do here. It's going to be, what, an 8 lap to go restart. So he's just got to be patient, work his way through the field slowly, methodically, but get there up there in enough time to try and steal this one away.
I think what's going to help the 95 here in this case is that he's going to be on the outside of his respective rows. So if he can take that 4th line, which is up to the outside wall, not many people have taken it tonight in this Voices Designs 120, but Parker White, in the case that he's in, right, in the circumstance that he's fallen into, I think he definitely has that opportunity, and we'll see if anybody gives the block. We'll see if anybody makes contact, and we'll have an eye on that Toyota Supra, whether he can take 2 in a row here. He'll be the 2nd driver to do it if he's able to manage through to the checkered flag. We'll have a 8 lap to go restart here with Gino Mero, the 71, your race leader, looking for his first win in the campaign. Same deal for the driver to his outside. Both of them, I think, quite funny, they both lost to Christian Visconti at 2 1.5-mile venues, so they're going to try and get out of Visconti's way up to the front. It'll be Mason Sweet, Ezekiel Reyes, drivers back to row number 2. It'll be Hunter Collier and Christian Visconti to your 3rd row. Mason Thompson, Shane Fuller, Joe Berge, and the driver in the top 10, the last one, will be Frederick Seagraves. We'll keep an eye, again, as we said, with the 095 of Parker White, whether he'll be able to make quick work of the field or whether he's going to have a little bit of trouble getting up to the front. Pace car makes its way down to the safety of pit road. Will this be the final restart in the Voices Designs 120? We'll have to find out from Vegas. Gino Mero back to the green flag as they head for turn 1.
Parker White immediately punches his way into the top 10 with a 3-wide move down the outside, but looking up front, a good about a half a car length lead for Gino Mero in that number 71, ahead of Mason Sweet. All these guys are rolling, but don't look now. Ezekiel Reyes is coming.
Ezekiel Reyes back up to 3rd, and it looks like the 25 of Workman really got beat there on that restart, Keelan, as he's now back to 4th and really going to have to fend with everybody else. Meanwhile, there's Parker White, that 3rd lane helping him, and there's the front pack. Christian Visconti next on the block as we come to 7 laps to go.
7 to go from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Parker White gained 4 spots on the first lap of the restart, and he's got to make work of these guys. Going 3 wide through the middle, a move that maybe nobody else in this field would make as they're bouncing off the wall in front of them. 2 cars to the inside wall. That's Ethan Workman and Mason Thompson wrecking on the backstretch, and this shakes everything up front.
Caution comes out once again, and it was a huge hit on that inside wall for the 25 of Ethan Workman. We saw him fall back to 4th. That was Mason Thompson in his car. The next one involved, there's the Taco Bell machine, and they are both absolutely totaled. Again, no faster pairs here in this series, so I believe their races might be officially over from the Gambling City, and they'll have to focus on next week's affair on Thursday night. We'll just see exactly what might have happened. I think, Charlie, it was just the simple case, as many of the incidents and many causes of the incidents so far in this race, just hitting the outside wall. Drivers get a little bit too comfortable. They try to go all the way up. They try to push as much as they can, and then ultimately it puts them into the wall. There's another look at the hard contact, and it started up here with the 25, runs a little bit high, hits the wall, and the rest is history.
Yeah, and these guys are just trying to use up as much racetrack as they can. A big hit to the inside, little jut in the inside wall there that these guys hit. Kind of reminiscent of Jeff Gordon here, I believe maybe late 2000s, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's just an example of these guys using as much racetrack as they can, trying to push the limit. And for the 25 of Ethan Workman, he found that limit.
Oh, and he found that divot right there, and that sort of inline. I think that's where the safety trucks go out when they have an incident. Indeed it was. And the 91 of Mason Thompson, who scored as the 81 on the actual screen here in his Taco Bell car. You'll see him as he's just behind the 25. Seems to be no issue. Remember, he's got Parker White in his rearview mirror, and then as Workman checked up, the 81 had nowhere to go. He follows the same fate. I think luckily for him, he hits not the divot part of the racetrack, but it's still a rather hard hit. I believe over 140 miles per hour. So both of them, I think, are completely out of this race. They're both one lap down, and I think it's safe to say, Keelan Belsha, that as much as they tried, their nights are completely over in a similar incident to what many faced at Atlanta not too long ago.
Torn up race cars back there with the 25 and the 81, and that knocks 2 guys out of the top 5, and that gives Parker White 2 positions. Move him now up to the 4th position on this upcoming restart. Next time it'll be 4 to go, so probably restarting with 3 to go if I had to make an estimation, and a green-white checkered if we need it tonight. So this race could go to anybody in this top 4, I feel like.
So in this case here, guys, we've got a very interesting restart. We're coming down to the final laps of it. You said it, Keelan. We're close to green-white checker territory, which I think, frankly, nobody wants to go through. Nobody wants to be in that position here, but you have 2 sides of the tail. Gino Mero, who's looking for his very first win. Remember, he got binned by a driver on fresh tires, Christian Visconti, at the Kansas Speedway just 2 weeks ago. But then you have Parker White, who's moved into not any just position on the racetrack. He is 4th coming out of this restart. Charlie, I think to first point off to you, what do you see happening here? Do you see Parker White taking this over, or is Gino Mero and the rest of the field able to take it all away and keep him at bay for the most part? Charlie, you're muted. Charlie, you're muted. I believe you're muted on Discord. There you go.
I believe 2 laps is more than enough time for Parker White to get by these leaders, and just the pace advantage is so exaggerated. Even with just a 10-lap difference on these tires, I think Parker White has a really good shot to just stealing this win away, and it's going to be a battle for these guys trying to get 2nd and 3rd.
Keelan?
I really do think you can't go against Parker White in this situation. Going to have probably enough laps. I think 2 laps is more than enough to get up there with your tire advantage right now. He's got to be in a catbird seat right now, but don't let this discredit Ezekiel Reyes' comeback. After he smacked the wall, lost all his track position, he's driven it all the way up to the top 2. He might have to surrender to Parker White here, though. He's trying to get the win, but these guys, these top 3, they're not going to let him by easily.
Definitely, yeah. That's going to make things more interesting, no doubt, going into this. The tire difference, by the way, is pretty much almost more than 20 laps. I'd say a total of probably 12 laps in total for many of the drivers. I think Ezekiel Reyes is pretty much mostly safe. It's about a 9-lap or so difference between himself and that 095. But no doubt with the positions that Parker White has gained over the course of this race, and especially over that last run, he's going to be the one to watch for ultimately on this restart, which will take us to 2 laps ago. This will be an organic green-white checkered finish. And so if we do get a yellow before we finish the race, we will go into green-white checkered territory. Here's how that will work. We will double them up all the way on the restart. We'll have a restart, of course, like this one here with 2 laps to go. If we do get a caution before the white flag is displayed and before the leader does get to the start-finish line to get that white flag, it means the race will end under yellow. We only have 1 attempt to get this race done under green. And so whoever's in the lead by the time that yellow does fly will ultimately be the winner here tonight in the Voices Designs 120. However, if the leader does get to the white flag, and if the leader does get back, if everything stays cool, then whoever gets to the line first will be the winner. Doesn't matter if everybody wrecks in turns 3 and 4. Whoever crosses the line first will be timed your winner here tonight from Vegas. Mero and Reyes, your first row on the grid for this restart. Mason Sweet, Parker White back to row number 2 to give assist to the Mustang and the Camaro. Pace car is down for maybe the final time tonight in the Voices Designs 120. Bit of wheel spin near the rear of the field. Mero, though, with a great restart going back to turn 1.
Wheel spinning all over the place for 5th on back, but these guys are going to start sorting themselves in line down in the turn number 1. Ezekiel Reyes throws a bit of a block on Parker White, trying to stop that momentum, but that's not going to stop his run down the back straightaway. With 2 laps to go, here comes Parker White down the outside for 3rd.
Parker White now to the outside, going to try to make all of this work. A couple of cars hit the outside wall, but I believe we may be safe enough to get to the white. Reyes trying to defend. Mason Sweet the next one on the line, but Gino Mero takes the white flag from Las Vegas.
Parker White boxed up back there, but now he's going to split the middle and set his sights on the 71 machine as Reyes gets in.
Reyes gets into him. It's a big crash as they're coming out of turn 2. Merrill is going to be able to clear. Reyes is blocking heavily on Sweet into turn 3 and 4. But after being bit by a fresh tire car 2 weeks ago, Gino Merrill finds redemption from Las Vegas and wins the Voices Designs 120.
And a big crash behind Ezekiel Reyes loses third place after crashing out of turn 4 with Mason Sweet. Josh Patterson steals second place in that 0-2. What a calamity-filled finish this was.
Josh Patterson, out of nowhere, takes P2 away. There he is giving the celebrations to Merrill. Mason Sweet is third. Ezekiel Reyes, as you mentioned there, Charlie, as he gets slammed once again. Goes for a wide for the outside fence. He's only in fourth. Trying to get his second straight podium after what happened at Phoenix not too long ago. But it is Gino Merrill, your race winner at the end of it all. Mentioned at Kansas, it came down to this very finish. 3 laps to go. Trying to get to the end. Visconti had the way, had the run, and beat Merrill by a couple of inches. But Merrill finds victory lane for the first time this season, becomes ultimately the 4th different winner in the series as he burns it down. There's Sweet to give him his congratulations. Watch the burnout from his perspective. But what a drive by the Sim Pit Ford Mustang to get to victory lane. There he goes. I believe that's his teammate Mason Sweet. They're going to be celebrating here on the front straightaway. And what a view it is. Gino Merrill, your race winner here tonight in the Voices Designs 120. We'll take a moment. We'll take a little bit of time to regroup ourselves and catch ourselves a bit of a breath as we'll take a short break. But you won't miss a thing here on the KBueno Racing Network. Post-race coverage for the Voices Designs 120 on the way for the WORC Dynamo Designs National Series and our coverage from Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics and engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to coverage of the Voices Designs 120 in the 5th round of the WORC Dynamo Designs National Series. We just had a organic green-white checkered finish where Gino Mero gets to victory lane for the very first time tonight. However, before we get to that, we'll take a look at your full race results, see exactly where everybody finished at the end of 80 completed laps. Gino Mero, as I mentioned, first-time race winner. Finally, the 71 gets to victory lane. We'll talk to him in just a couple of moments. The 0-2 of Josh Patterson somehow got to second place at the end of it as Mason Sweet and Ezekiel Reyes got together coming to the start-finish line. Sweet got the betterment of that battle. He ends up in P3. He'll be on the part of our driver interview section tonight. Ezekiel Reyes just short of the podium here tonight. He finishes in P4. Christian Visconti, two-time race winner on the intermediates, is not able to stay undefeated on this configuration, although he gets a great finish to get him some nice points in 5th tonight. Lucas Lyons, after bouncing around numerous times on strategy, he finishes P6 tonight. Nick Penna, we hadn't spoken about him all night long, quite frankly, but the 52 lines it up P7 at the end of tonight's action. 68 of DJ Powell was third at one point. While the leaders are cycling around, he ends up 8th. Joe Bergen, the 83, comes home in 9th, and league owner Brayson Collins in the number 5. Keelan Busher rounds out your top 10.
In the 11th position, we saw the 76 of Brady Cox, who had speed early in the night before losing the race lead and slipping back. Ethan Harrison in the 77 picks up the 12th place finish. Shane Fuller finishes in 13th. Frederick Seagraves in the 14th position. Parker White, we saw in that last lap incident, was coming before he got turned, ends up in 15th. Hunter Collier in the 16th position. Quinnan Haley in 17th. We saw him in a bit of trouble earlier. Timmy Spence, involved in the opening yellow of the night, picks up an 18th place finish. Henry Clapper and Terry Mellum rounds out the top 20.
21st is Ryan Martin, that number 9 car. 22nd, a promising start to this race turns into a wrecked race car for Peter Kearney, that number 983. Number 23rd place is Dimitri. Oh my goodness. Number 24th is 977 of Richard Mendonça. Number 25th is the 25 of Ethan Workman. 26th is the 991 of Mason Thompson. 27th is the 001 of Wyatt Tinsley. 28th place is the number 4 of Aaron Griffin. 29th, the 045 of Dylan Hervatson. And then 30th place, rounding out your top 30, is the 136 of Chris Brown.
Back to the 31st, on to the tail end of the field. You'll find Canadian Jay Mulder in the 51. He's 31st. Chris Jones ends up 55 laps down in his car. He ends up 32nd. Logan Pugh, Kevin White Jr., after being involved in that turn 2 incident that sent them into the inside wall in the back straightaway, their nights were over at that point of the race. 33rd for Logan Pugh, 34th, respectively, for the proximity racing driver of Kevin White Jr. Landon Dawson and Garrett A. White are the final drivers to round out this 36-car field. Unfortunately for White, got caught up in something and he ended up out of the race. So he ends up as the final driver in this full 36-car field. But it'll be our time to head downstairs and head to Victory Lane, where we'll find the driver of the 71, Gino Mero, in his Ford Mustang, gets to the win for the very first time this season. Gino, we talked to you a couple of weeks back at an intermediate track, and last time you were close to the line, close to the race win, got barely beaten by Christian Visconti, but tonight becomes the rebound on the final restart of the race. You're able to hold on, and you get your first win of the WORC Dynamo Designs National Series tonight from Vegas. Walk us through your emotions and walk us through how you feel after taking the win today.
Dude, I am probably not going to sleep tonight. That was very exhausting, but God, electrifying. I don't know how I got up through the pack and got the lead. Like, it was crazy. Everyone was everywhere, and God, it was exhausting. My voice is gone. Jesus.
Well, I can imagine the tension you were under in that final restart, because it pretty much was played to the same structure as Kansas Speedway. You were in the race lead. You had a couple of drivers behind you. Parker White was on fresh tires, trying to get around you and everybody else. So, I mean, walk us through the emotions. Did you feel some of the same anxiety, or walk us through what you and your crew were thinking about coming off turn 4, ready to get that restart with 2 to go?
Yeah, I instantly got Kansas flashbacks, and I almost wrecked into the wreck coming into turn 1. That's what caused it. I'm not sure who wrecked, but yeah, instantly Kansas vibes. I was just like, you know, Parker White pitted, Ezekiel pitted, and I'm not sure where Visconti finished or where he was, but I was just like, well, I got one of me and 18 people behind me that took fresh tires or had a set, and those restarts helped me. Mason helped out a big chunk. And big thanks to Seth Warren. He spotted me for this race. He crew chiefed me and told me when to pit and stuff. But yeah, he helped spot. And God, I don't know how where was I on the start? I was 28th. God. And yeah, and also big help to Nelson. He wasn't in here, but he helps outside the sim world.
Well, you're able to get this win, and I'm sure it must feel good. But I think in the grander scheme of things, point standings is going to mean a lot. Of course, you had a couple of finishes on your own route through the first 4 races up until tonight from Las Vegas. So how much of a boost is that going to be for you, no doubt, with this race win and with the rest of the season ahead of you?
Oh yeah, majorly, dude, majorly. I think I was 7th in points coming to this race, but yeah, this is going to be a huge increase in points. Oh my God, I don't know who I was battling for points, who was 6th, but I know it was Jay. I'm not sure what happened to him, but yeah, let's say I should be in the top 5 after this race and after the points are calculated and penalties are penalized.
Well, no doubt you'll be at the top of the charts when they get that results page in, the 71 to victory lane, and you get your very first W of this 2021-2022 season, quite frankly. But Gino, before we let you go, is there anybody you just want to thank for making this all possible? Any teams, sponsors, or just anybody else you just like to give the love and shout outs to on tonight's win?
I want to give a shout out to Mason with helping me with those restarts. You know, I was helping him, he was helping me. Seth Warren, my spotter and crew chief, and Nelson that helps out outside of Sim World, and you know, they're great guys, and just big thank you to them, and most of all, big thank you to Seth. He helped me a lot with strategy and confidence moving up through the field, and honestly, I don't know how I went 3 wide without him, but it was one heck of an experience. But yeah, good race.
Well, they'll put Gino Mero on the win column now here in this WORC Dynamo Designs National Series as you hold off the field here from Las Vegas. Gino, I want to congratulate you on behalf of the KBueno Racing Network and, of course, from all of us. I want to wish you the best of luck. Again, congratulations on tonight's win from Vegas, and, of course, wishing you the best of luck as we stay out west and we head to the Auto Club Speedway next week.
Thank you.
Gino Mero in the 71 Ford Mustang gets to victory lane for the very first time this season. It's the first win for him, and of course, again, becomes the 4th different winner in competition. We'll kick it back to P2, where you'll find the O2 of Josh Patterson, who somehow went from the 4th row on that restart to P2 as they were wrecking across the start-finish line. And we have the O2 of Josh Patterson set trackside with our very own Keelan Belsha.
Hey, Josh.
Hey, Keelan, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Well, you seem to be doing better than me, though. I mean, you went through the field there on that last lap, went into that final lap 6th, and went all the way up to the 2nd position. Before we get to there, though, take us through your race. You kind of had a quiet night. You were back there, started in 16th, and then seemed to run around that position until this tail end. So take us through your night. What went on?
Yeah, so I mean, starting off, I was gonna sort of take like a more normal strategy to the night. Ended up switching it up. I didn't end up taking my first set of tires until lap 60. So that's why I was stuck in the back for the majority of it. I kind of was just running around on old tires waiting for something to happen towards the end. And then I got, I guess, lucky and, you know, something happened towards the end. So I was able to take my first set during the green. And then I ended up taking the second set with 2 restarts to go, I think it was. Then me and Parker were moving through the field there. And I think he got turned, and then I just managed to miss it all. But yeah, the fresh tires at the end definitely helped me out there. So yeah, strategy was really on today.
Well, strategy paid off for you for sure. So now we go to the final lap. You're back there. You take the white flag in the 6th position. What did you see going on in front of you when the floodgates opened and you got up to the 2nd position?
Well, you know, going into the final lap, excuse me. Yeah, I knew everyone was close. I knew Parker was trying to shove his way through, and I had a feeling they were going to wreck, but I wasn't positive. And then I saw Parker get turned, and Christian went high to avoid it, which promoted me to 4th behind Zeke and Mason. I saw them start blocking each other, and I was like, I in my Discord call, I was yelling. I was like, "Oh, hit him, hit him, hit him!" And I saw them come off of 4. They were dooring each other, so I kind of aimed for their back bumpers, and then they both, you know, split ways. So it just got me to 2nd right at the end there. So Yeah, I mean, combination of luck and just right place, right time. But it all worked out in the end, and got me my highest finish of the season.
Yeah, and about that highest finish of the season, your highest before coming into today was that 10th place finish you got at the Atlanta Speedway a couple weeks back. So with this second place finish, how do you feel about your momentum going into the next couple races?
I feel good. I feel like I definitely got off to the season on the wrong foot. So I feel like we're finally going in the right direction, and I think I'll be able to have a strong playoff push. That's kind of my goal: make the playoffs, see how far I can go in that. So I think this definitely helps my momentum, and yeah, it'd be a good start to a serious playoff charge.
Well, that's certainly the goal. So, Josh, a second place finish tonight from Las Vegas. You got to be sponsors, teammates you want to thank.
Yeah, I got to thank everybody at Dynamo Racing, powered by Limeade Media, especially Tyson Gifford. I got to thank Dynamo Designs, Patriot Clutches for being on the car tonight, Limeade Media, Vulture Racing Engines, Keystone Corner, EVC Automotive. I got to thank Brayson for running the league every week, y'all for coming out and broadcasting, and everybody on track for giving me a great race tonight.
Well, congratulations on your second place finish tonight, Josh, and hopefully you got some momentum for the coming weeks.
All right, thanks a lot, Keelan.
Sure. Josh Patterson in the second position there, as I believe we got Charlie Byer down trackside with our third place finisher tonight, Mason Sweet.
Mason Sweet with his first top 5 finish of the season. Mason, you got a copy?
Yes, sir, I do.
Well, what an action-packed finish, free starts, and final corner that was with the number 07 Ezekiel Reyes. I'll get to that in a moment. Just overall, how do you think your race went today?
I mean, I think we got the finish we were looking for. Not exactly the way I want to get there, but really worked at it hard all day. Interesting strategy throughout the day. Happy that I made it alive. Kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I spun across the start finish line.
Oh, that's a fair point. It seems like in that last couple runs, the key to make it to the end was just survival. So in that last green white checker finish, you were batting with that 07 Ezekiel Reyes. You knew that number 5 Parker White was coming, and you two went as hard as you can. Just talk me through that whole final last lap.
I got 2 really good restarts behind my kind of teammate Gino. He's a good buddy of mine. I got good restarts right behind him, and it was really just trying to stay as far up as I could. Kind of playing a bit of blockers, trying to make it to the finish, but I didn't want to wreck anybody doing it. When it comes to him, it was really weird because I saw Parker spin and he came up right up to my field of view and then disappeared, and I was like, "Oh, it's on." And we almost had contact coming off of turn 2, me and Ezekiel, and then he blocked me out down the back stretch, and we unfortunately got together off of turn 4. I want to apologize to him. I didn't mean to get into him. But yeah, it was a ton of fun tonight.
Yeah, Mason, you were 16th in points heading into Las Vegas tonight. So with these handful of points in the bag tonight with your third place finish, how do you use this momentum to push through towards the playoffs?
It's really what I was looking for. I was looking for a top 5 of sorts to really get the run to the playoffs going. I had a few mediocre at best weeks, wrecked out of Daytona, was okay at Atlanta. I guess I got wrecked out of that too. And the recovery road started at Phoenix. Super happy finish where I did today. Gotta thank the sponsor and Limeade Media. Thank you for bringing me on. And thank you to Josh Patterson. He kind of helped me get here. Gave me a few tips, and got rolling a bit faster this week.
All right, well, Mason, thanks for coming out tonight. We'll see you next week, buddy.
All right, thank you.
That's Mason Sweet, number 56, finishing. He was third out of the final corner. He was able to keep third by, moving Zeke out of the way and then getting passed by Josh. But still a solid finish for Mason.
Definitely a solid finish for the 56 for sure. So that completes your top 3, completes all the driver segments, driver segment on the interviews here tonight from the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And coming back to show our pretty faces or ugly faces, depending on who's viewing this broadcast. Definitely an interesting one, to say the least, Charlie. I'll start with you here. I mean, you've covered races at Las Vegas in the past, but wasn't with this kind of car combo. We saw the NASCAR Cup Series cars go here the last time we covered a race in the Sin City. So overall, I mean, what are your thoughts from what was a very interesting strategy and possibly chaotic race from Las Vegas tonight?
Well, we saw every bit of the action tonight. We saw the green flag runs, we saw the cautions, the crashes, and a miraculous green light checkered finish with pretty much everything you can ask for a Vegas race and these Xfinity Series cars. Lots of strategy played through, lots of strategy worked for some guys, and a lot of guys were victims. So I think, this race really had it all. We saw a lot of great action and a really good finish tonight. So what to take away from this one? I would say just Xfinity cars are cool.
They're a lot of fun. They bring a lot of interesting racing, to say the least. Keelan, next race. I know you're more accustomed to covering the dirt stuff on the iRacing platform, but we head to a very big oval, a 2-mile track that is not named Daytona this season. Auto Club Speedway will be featured on our West Coast swing for race number 6. So what are your thoughts on what's going to be a kind of dramatic change from intermediate style racing and maybe one short track, one super speedway, to a very, very wide and very open track like Auto Club?
Well, Vegas and Auto Club, as far as they look, they're 2 totally different racetracks, but I think you could take a lot of the elements that you have from Vegas and take it into Auto Club. So a lot of the guys that finished up front today, I think they can take some of that elements and being conservative while driving and keeping their car up front out of trouble. I think they can take a lot of those elements and place them into Auto Club, because it's a 2-mile track. It's a big track, but it's another track that you have to be really careful with your stuff. And that seems to be the theme at a lot of these West Coast tracks, especially if they run during the day. Track temps get so high, you'll be slipping and sliding. So if we get a day race next week, it'll be a very, very conservative group of guys.
Also going to be a different format as well. We've been so used to running 80 laps at Atlanta, Kansas, Las Vegas tonight, but we'll have a different approach coming in next week and 1 week time at the Auto Club Speedway, where we'll head to California for the very first time in this WORC Dynamo Designs National Series campaign, as Gino Merrill walks away victorious from the desert here tonight as he takes the win over the 80 completed laps. You will want to see more WORC action coming 1 week from today. If you liked what you saw tonight from Vegas, you're going to love the high-speed action from Auto Club Speedway, Fontana, whatever you want to call it. Our coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern. You'll find it right here, no place else but the KBueno Racing Network. We'll have, of course, next Thursday, January 10th, 20th, 2022 will continue on through our season, where we'll end our regular season campaign. Evolution will go all the way to Homestead Miami Speedway on April 7th. It'll be our final race to deduct a WORC Dynamo Designs National Series champion in its very first campaign. So for all the people that make it possible on the WORC side, for Brayson Collins, league owner, and everybody, the admin team, for making sure these races run as smooth as possible each and every Thursday night, and on behalf of all of us at the KBueno Racing Network, for Francisco Bacalhau and for my colleagues in the booth, Charlie Byer and Keelan Belsha, my name is Kenneth Bueno. Saying so long, good night from Vegas. Congratulations once more to the driver of the 71, Gino Merrill, your winner here tonight. We'll see you forward in 1 week time from Auto Club on Thursday. It's going to be a lot of fun when we head forward in our West Coast swing.